See, this just goes right in here. This activates the gauge, and we're ready to go. Does that make sense?
Not really.
Would you like me to show it to you again?
I'm just not that mechanical.
Asa.
Me alegro que esté aquí, Atlan.
Well, if we leave now, we'll be right in time.
In time for the afternoon drop. Got it. We need to finish the rest of these.
Surprise inspection. Everybody stand aside, please.
Excuse me. On what authority?
As specified in the formal agreement between administration and the Office of Displaced Persons, Title 14, Section 3, Paragraph 2, both parties are legally hereby permitted to search and examine the record-keeper's quarters in order to maintain proper procedures are being enacted and performed. Clearly, you don't read your own contract.
I know the contract, I just don't know you.
I am Estrella. I'm an attorney from the Office of Displaced Persons.
Está bien, Atlan.
Pero esto es un atropello, Raina. ¿Cómo se le permite venir así sin anunciarse, sin autorización? No puede ser.
Puedo. According to the agreement, we have open access to the records.
You don't have access to the record.
I beg your pardon.
But my offices are open access. I'd be happy to show you whatever you like.
Atlan, puede retirarse.
No, se puede quedar. We need to finish these.
Let's start with your process.
Un momento. Der Haftbefehl, bitte. Shukran.
Off one.
It's interesting that in all the millennia we've been doing this, the General has never called upon this clause. Why now?
Well, that is not your concern.
You ask for transparency, but you aren't willing to offer the same.
Well, your administration put in this clause, not mine. If you want to take this to the magistrate, we can...
necessary.
Good.
What would you like to see?
The records.
Those are off limits, like I said.
We have the right at any time to see the records whenever we see fit.
Title 1, Section 3, Paragraph 4. Either party may inspect said premises, but the record shall remain sealed until the appointed time. This document is binding and applicable throughout the universe in perpetuity.
Where are you from?
That's none of your concern. Let's just stick to professional discourse. I wouldn't go in there if I were you.
Well, walk me through your process. How do you conduct your interrogations?
You mean interviews?
Oh, I mean interrogations.
Have a seat and I'll show you.
I'll stand if it's all the same to you.
Have it your way. Typically, when we interview, the subject sits there and I sit here. I ask them questions and they give me their version of the events.
And you recall the conversations on this?
Yes, it's an elliptical monograph.
Oh, I know what it is. But don't you think you should be using something a little more contemporary?
We have an affinity for the traditional.
It looks older than me.
It probably is.
You're younger than I thought you'd be.
I eat from the tree of life.
I just don't understand why you don't want to tell me where you're from.
Why is it important to you?
I'd just like to get to know you better.
Nous sommes amis maintenant?
Je devrais pouvoir vous mettre vos
Emil.
It's just your accent I find it hard to place.
And I yours.
Onion Pinion.
I'm from the northern province, but I moved around a lot.
How do you feel about your job?
Gabriel.
As a record keeper?
Yes.
It's an enormous responsibility, and I love what I do.
But
sometimes I wish I could experience everything that has been seen.
rather than hear about it secondhand.
Something like that.
And where do the records go?
They are sealed, cataloged, and placed into a vault until the day when the records are opened.
And how many of the general's soldiers have you interviewed?
Legion.
And wait, excuse me. And Miss Raina, I have a few more things I need to talk to you about. According to the warrant, I have as much time as I need to conduct my interrogation. But stand aside, please.
Could you let me see that?
And do you stay alone in there?
Depends.
With
Sometimes
them?
I station someone by the door.
And what sorts of things do they talk about?
Facts.
Come on, we both require the same thing, but no one can help add in their own.
There is little room for conjecture in my office. I'm only interested in the events on Earth, not their opinions of them.
And how do you know when they lie?
I just know.
You can tell when someone lies.
Yes.
How often does that happen?
Rarely.
You expect me to believe you can tell every time someone is being untruthful?
I've spent my whole life looking into the eyes of truth. The one thing I can spot is a lie.
Oh, I find this hard to believe. This is something our general just...
Your general.
The general just cannot accept. We know that there is false information being recorded in
By
this
whom?
office. I'm not at liberty to say.
Of all the things administration has been accused of, being dishonest isn't one of them.
Times change. Try to keep up. Show me the rest of the building.
No.
Excuse me?
You're lying. You're not here because you think we're being untruthful. There's something else.
Und in provincia de nord.
Un orash mic pe malumari aperon.
Che arash.
Este fuerte mic probabil nue utzit nichodata died. What is the general concerned about?
He isn't concerned.
Another lie.
He wants to know what is being said in this
Why?
office, not your opinion.
Why?
Of what he said, but actual
Why?
facts. This is my audit. I am asking the questions here. Tell me about Loris.
Loris?
Yes, he's a lieutenant. Stands
I
about
know
this
who he
tall.
is.
What kinds of things does he talk about?
He shares his version of the events.
Just facts.
Mostly.
No opinions.
Occasionally.
What about secrets?
There are no secrets.
The general will not be pleased to hear that.
He'll be fine. Why is he concerned about Loris?
He isn't.
Lie number 3.
He thinks someone is leaking information.
Why would it be Loris?
Because he is the only soldier who comes in here with someone from the other side. I hardly need to remind you that this is highly against protocol.
Not against protocol, it is just unusual.
Semantics.
They're still friends, they both requested it.
You can't tell me you're comfortable with this arrangement.
Administration sanctioned it, therefore I accept it.
No, this has to stop.
Why?
Because our last 2 initiatives
Attacks.
our last 2 offensives were thwarted just before they were launched. First there was the Holocaust of Raina, and now our tower has been sabotaged.
You mean the portal?
What's the difference?
Calling it a tower just makes it sound like a lofty building.
It was a tower.
It was a portal back to the kingdom. You were trying to escape justice.
Don't you talk to me about justice.
You were trying to escape death, which is what you've always wanted.
That sounds a lot like conjecture.
And you convinced the humans to join you.
That is your opinion.
That is a fact. It is the same lie that you've been telling from the beginning.
Conjecture.
Surely you will not die.
Stop it! Stop it! Just facts! I just want facts!
You're no lawyer.
You're a record keeper.
Keeping records for the other side.
So?
What are you keeping records for?
A ty как думаешь, для чего? Для великого суда.
I see.
I applied for your job, you know. Long before you did. I was in line for the position, and then along came Raina. From out of nowhere. There is no way you earned it.
She was the top administrative assistant to the king.
Atlan.
She was there at every meeting, every negotiation, every planning session. She was there when the first words of dissent were spoken. No one is more familiar with administration than her, and no one deserves this job more than her.
Well, good for you.
Estrella! If you applied for this job, when did you defect?
When the general offered me the same position.
So you left because you didn't get the job?
I left because he accepted me. He appreciated me when administration did not.
Parvis.
What?
That's where I'm from, Parvis.
Parvis? That's...
Where the general is from, yes.
Did you know him?
Quite well, yes. We were very close.
This makes sense.
What does?
He often speaks of you. He says he misses being in your presence. Ele manda lembranças.